They euphemistically termed it moral realignment. 12 shattered capitals, 99 million lives extinguished in mere minutes. The Galactic Federation didn't dignify it as war. No declaration echoed, no final chance offered, merely a vote conducted amongst the stars by beings communicating in cents and clicks, their scales shimmering in fabricated light, a single decision. Humanity was deemed flawed, overly hostile, swayed too easily by feeling, and chaotic. The Very Hive envoy, displayed on every dead screen, blinked all four eyes and coldly declared, "Regret is wasteful. Annihilation is absolute." Earth's fate was sealed before dawn. From the void above, alien warships unleashed tungsten projectiles upon Washington, Beijing, Lahore, Sao Paulo, Lagos, New York, Karachi. No energy weapons, no majestic display, just an unsettling stillness, as though the universe itself was closing a dark barrier. Then, the communication ended. Initially, the galaxy prepared for an outcry. They anticipated cries of agony, nuclear retribution, the desperate scrambling of a trapped race. Yet Earth remained mute. Earth hesitated. For a day, only static filled the channels. Then, something utterly bizarre occurred. Earth smiled. Not through official announcements, not through representatives. No dramatic address, no furious rant, but in subtle ways. A man in Montana swept volcanic dust from his doorstep, poured bitter coffee, and muttered into the silence. Well, they went and did it. Deep within a Manhattan refuge, a young girl found a deck of cards, shuffled once, and smiled softly. Looks like a snow day. Far beneath Nevada, at a hidden facility, a steel elevator silently opened. Inside stood an elderly man, aided by a cane. He bore a single eye and a collection of medals no one recalled bestowing. The elevator, unbidden, began its descent. 17 levels underground. 27 figures sat around a worn table. No titles, no emblems, simply mugs, quiet contemplation, and a crimson file, sealed. The old man shuffled into the room. Finally he spoke, his tone like falling snow. They murdered 99 million souls. A few heads moved slightly. A woman mixed whiskey into her warm drink. He scanned the room. Lost in the quiet expanse of the night, I yearned for her. The memory of her smile, a radiant beacon, pierced through the gloom. Every moment without her felt like an eternity, an aching void in my very soul. The world seemed muted, colorless, devoid of the joy she effortlessly painted upon it. I whispered her name into the wind, a desperate plea carried on the breeze, hoping it would somehow reach her, a fragile thread connecting our hearts across the darkness. My love for her was a constant, a burning flame refusing to be extinguished by distance or despair. "Everything is ready?" A tense voice broke the silence. "Operational since '87, came the immediate reply. "And the fail-safes?" Another delegate gave a curt nod. "Boogeyman protocol is go." The elder statesman of the group slowly cracked his knuckles, the sound echoing in the room. "Then," he stated, his voice grave, "I suppose we unleash hell." No smile touched his lips. No one felt joy, because this wasn't vengeance. This was simply cleaning house. Light years away, a grand celebration roared through the Galactic Federation. A triarch from the Zelvin Accord lifted a shimmering glass in a toast. "Humanity was a burning match." Alien laughter erupted. A Shrek delegate proposed peace, forever rid of savage humans. The Arthax envoy, a mass of telepathic fungus sustained in a nutrient tank, radiated violet hues. "We foresee immense anguish amongst the surviving Terrans. Ready empathy teams." "Agreed, agreed," another delegate chirped. "Let them mourn. It will pacify them." They failed to notice Earth's unsettling silence. No desperate cries, no pleas for mercy, no footage of panic. Only a dreadful stillness like that of catacombs. The Federation launched a drone to assess the devastation. It limped back, or tried to. Instead of data, they received a delivery, a crudely wrapped package made of human skin. Inside, a single human eyeball, the drone pilot's, flickered with a fading spark of life. A note was attached, translated into 7 languages. "You summoned us." 3 weeks later, the Council convened, cautious, confused. "Has Earth initiated communications?" Anavarkhan Admiral demanded. "No," replied the Zorlani Oracle. "They remain silent." "Have they struck back?" "Not overtly." The Oracle paused, adding, "But, explain yourself." "We've lost 7 intelligence facilities, erased from existence." A stunned quiet fell. The Zorlani Oracle, shimmering and sightless, whispered, "There are ripples in the void." As if on cue, the lights dimmed. A door slid open, revealing a man who walked in. He wore no battle armor, no identifying marks, only a simple black suit and a coffee stain on his tie. A worn briefcase dangled from one hand, a paper coffee cup in the other. No one stirred. No one recognized him. The council leader, a woman etched with years of unwavering dedication, visibly trembled. Jill's fluttered weakly. "State your designation," she commanded, her voice like chipped ice. The man tasted his coffee, a grimace twisting his features. "You never could get this right, could you? Still tastes like something you'd strip paint with." She highlighted his name on the screen. He set the cup down, the sound echoing in the tense room. "Kane, my rank." He tilted his head, a ghost of amusement in his eyes. "You sterilized Earth, and now you're concerned with rank." Behind him, the towering alien guards shifted, their unease palpable. Kane offered a disarming smile. "Relax, friends. I'm not here to cause trouble." He opened his briefcase, reaching inside with deliberate slowness. Every weapon in the room was instantly trained on him. He paused, his smile widening. "Just paperwork, boys. Necessary evils." He produced a small, innocuous rectangular box, placing it gently on the table. No wires, no lights. "What's inside?" a voice demanded, laced with suspicion. Kane's smile deepened, a hint of something dangerous flickering in his eyes. "Proof and a question." The box clicked softly, then opened, projecting a hologram into the air. Grainy footage, satellite imagery, 12 alien ships, scattered debris against the black void. "All destroyed," Kane stated, his voice calm. "Last week, Zeta System, Patrol Squadron, no survivors." The chairwoman's eyes narrowed, calculating. "You're claiming humans did this?" Kane took another sip of the atrocious coffee. "I claim nothing. I'm simply informing you of what is already happening." A Syrian admiral rose, his chitinous face flushed with anger. "Are you threatening this council?" Kane turned slowly, his gaze like the unhurried crawl of a predator. "Threatening? Oh no." He gestured to the holographic display. This is merely a response. The threat, my friends, is yet to come." Another voice, laced with fear, cut through the tension. "How many of you are left?" Kane's smile vanished, his eyes hardening. "Enough." A long pregnant silence hung in the air before an Azarani leaned forward, his voice low and urgent. "What do you want, human?" Kane blinked, a slow, deliberate movement. "We lost 99 million souls. Mothers, fathers, children. You have forfeited the right to ask what we want." He stood, his movements fluid and purposeful. "Now you get to wonder what comes next." The guards surged forward, attempting to block his path, but Kane merely looked at them, his gaze unflinching. One of them flinched, stepping back. He walked out, leaving a vacuum of fear and uncertainty in his wake. On Earth, nestled deep within the Alaskan wilderness, a man walked into a raging blizzard, a simple duffel bag, his only companion. No one followed. No one ever did. In Tokyo, a woman in a silk kimono carefully stitched a vibrant flower into the lining of her coat, then meticulously loaded a pistol with bullets etched with forgotten symbols, humming a mournful lullaby. In Detroit, a priest, his face etched with grim determination, sealed the doors of his ancient church and descended into the darkness of the basement below. Inside, there were no pews, no altar, only the cold, hard steel of preparation. In the celestial expanse above, the Fae, a small but brave vessel, danced among the stars. The Eradication Council felt the oppressive silence grow heavier. They clung to the narrative of scattered, broken, lost humans, yet their defense systems continued to fail, one by one. A chilling notation, buried deep in a council archive, was quietly marked classified. They aren't coming. They're already here. Miles away, on a lonely observation post above Sector 3V, a young technician spotted an anomaly. The long-range telescope revealed a minute form drifting through the wreckage. It moved with unnatural grace, too slow for a projectile, too swift for scavengers. He enhanced the image. A solitary human, clad in dark, salvaged armor, propelled by a captured gravity sled, clutched something in their hand. A single, glinting coin. "What is that?" the technician whispered, puzzled. The human tilted their head, their face flashed a predatory smile, and they tossed the coin high. Far, far below, within the frigid heart of Earth's clandestine command center, an aged warrior stirred. A fierce light ignited in his remaining eye. "Boogeymen have bypassed 7 lines of defense," an aide reported, his voice tight with urgency. "Baba Yaga is en route." He simply nodded. "Any communication from the council?" "They've requested an immediate audience." A dry chuckle escaped the old man's lips. "Of course they have." With a groan, he straightened, his back protesting with a chorus of pops. "Let's grant them their wish." The aide hesitated, fear etched on his features. "Sir, the message?" Reaching inside his worn coat, the old man retrieved a small, tarnished metal tag. The words etched upon it were simple, brutal. "You shouldn't have touched our home." He tossed the tag onto the polished table. Its sound echoed like a death knell, silencing the room. The grand hall of the Galactic Summit spiraled upward, a luminous seashell of alloys suspended in orbit over Serek Prime. From above, it resembled a fragile beacon of hope. Within, species from 100 worlds clustered together, antenna brushing tentacle, claw meeting gill. 97 delegates representing 73 civilizations, and almost all shared the same delusion, that it was finished. The massacre of 99 million humans was documented, disseminated, filed, and stamped as precedent. Necessary cleansing, planetary de-escalation, they called it. Now they convened to discuss peace, containment, and how best to manage the remaining humans, like a herd of panicked animals. Some had even started drafting a charter for human rehabilitation. A tapestry of colors shimmered, a truly exquisite noble. His crystalline fingers drummed a silent rhythm as he declared, "We must control their cultural transmissions. Their melodies are disturbing." A hive member swiveled 3 multifaceted eyes in his direction, replying, "They create music even as death embraces them. That fact alone should alarm us." The Zelvan ambassador, statuesque with skin of burnished gold, gently poured nectar into a waiting glass. "Let them sing, let them spin tales," he countered smoothly. "Their weapons are blunted, their fangs rendered harmless." A deep wave of assent resonated through the assembly hall, heavy with words like annihilation, conformity, and erasure from history. A sudden rasping cough cut through the tense atmosphere, utterly human. The translator systems stuttered, reeling from the unscheduled intrusion. Bewildered, the delegates craned their necks toward the periphery of the room. Near a radiant mural depicting universal harmony, a solitary figure stood, dressed in a simple black suit, slightly creased white shirt, and hair casually disarranged, as if by a hurried hand. He bore no insignia of rank, no protective detail. A simple cup of coffee occupied one hand, while a battered leather satchel hung from the other. The very delegate squinted. "Is that Kane?" a hushed voice murmured. He wasn't expected. Kane advanced with an air of casual authority, a guest who needed no invitation, yet cared little for the surroundings. His footfalls sounded wrong, too muted against the polished marble. Unease rippled through the gathered representatives. The Arfthax blob struggled to voice its inquiry, but Kane nonchalantly placed his coffee on its housing, stating flatly, "Hope I'm not interrupting. The coffee situation downstairs remains dire." The chairwoman, a Turk's matriarch with 6 murmuring mouths, slowly ascended. "You have not been authorized to attend this session." Kane offered a pained smile. "You mean to tell me I wasn't invited?" A chilling hush descended, coating the room like a layer of ice. "You are alone," a voice challenged, emanating from the Balfu warcast. Kane glanced around. "Am I?" Every eye in the chamber darted about, scanners whirring, but detected nothing. No weapon signature, no deviations from the norm. Only a man, impossibly present in a space forbidden to him. The chairwoman clicked twice. "Your species is under sane sanctioned," Kane echoed, pacing deliberately. "That's a verbose way of saying slaughter, isn't it?" He paused. "Earth-initiated contact violations. That's not the full truth." His voice, still deceptively calm, cut through the silence. "Earth sent a message. You erased it. You were warned. And explicitly, you were warned what would transpire should you ever desecrate our soil." A palpable dread settled, stifling the very air. Kane turned towards the chairwoman. "You didn't just touch our soil. You ravaged it, rendered it barren." He paused. Earth was labeled a threat. The Arthax, struggling to grasp the implications, stammered, "Your purpose?" Kane lifted a satchel, placing it reverently on the central dais. A soft hiss marked its opening. He retrieved a skull, Xeno in origin, scorched and bearing metal fragments. "This," he stated, "belonged to a Sarnak admiral, recovered near Jupiter's rings, a small token of remembrance." A wave of gasps, hisses, and a suppressed scream rippled through the assembly. Kane merely shrugged, as if regarding a lost trinket. A Varuri noble rose, aghast. "Are you making threats?" "No," Kane responded, finally locking eyes. "I'm reminding you." He inhaled deeply. "You extinguished 99 million souls, teachers, children, even a sweet grandmother famous for her apple pie in Kansas. And you justified it as preemptive. You cite fear of retaliation." His tone turned steely. "Retaliation is reactive. What unfolds now is cold, calculated policy." The Zelvan envoy unfurled his wings in agitated display. "Earth is incapable of engaging in military conflict. You are crippled." "The amusing thing about humans," Kane countered, a subtle change in his voice, "is we possess something beyond mere armies. We harbor traditions." The Hivechar interjected, "The Boogeyman legends?" Kane took a sip of his coffee. "Delighted to hear our folklore is gaining traction." A nervous undercurrent of laughter flickered, quickly suppressed. Kane moved towards the holographic map at the chamber's heart. With a subtle gesture, he honed in on the boar, the image intensifying, drawing the viewer into its depths, revealing its secrets with breathtaking clarity. 17 distant worlds, outposts, colonies, space stations burned crimson. Lost, Kane declared. All of them within the last 9 days. The chairwoman gasped, her voice strained. But who? A faint smile touched his lips. Allow me to pose a question. He touched a star, glowing ominously. Why were your most formidable, heavily guarded, supremely secure installations breached without a single alarm? Another touch. Why do their flight recorders contain nothing? No whispers, no thermal traces, only an eerie void. A third touch. And why do cameras invariably fail a heartbeat before the terror erupts? The silence grew oppressive, almost tangible. Kane lowered his head closer. Do you believe we deployed troops, elite soldiers, a fleet of vessels? He shook his head slowly. We dispatched a solitary agent to each location. He let the words linger. 1, the Zorlani oracle breathed, disbelief etched on his features. Improbable, Kane corrected gently. However, not impossible. That is your initial error, presuming our limitations are shared by you. The Arfax quivered. What are you exactly? Kane paused to sip his drink. You seek a label? A species? Someone to hold accountable? A soft chuckle escaped him. But the truth is, you've already named us. His gaze swept the room, his eyes like chips of ice. You christened us demons. His voice dropped, steel sheathed in silk. You declared us capricious, savage, prone to unwarranted smiles and unrelenting grudges, possessed of passions that burn like wildfire. He gave a measured nod. And you were right. After a long beat, the chairwoman, her voice thin with terror, uttered the paramount question. What do you seek? Kane blinked. His face was a mask. Nothing, he whispered. That's what makes it truly terrifying. He turned to leave. Not a guard stirred. No command was issued. Even the very walls seemed to exhale slowly. As the door began to part, he halted. Ah, he said, reaching inside his coat. Almost forgot. He produced a small object, casually tossing it over his shoulder. A coin danced in the air, struck the floor with a chime, and settled, tails facing up. He never glanced back. The room fixated on the coin, a tiny scrap of metal, utterly mundane. However, their attention shifted when they spotted an inscription etched onto its surface. It wasn't money. It was a countdown. Tomorrow. Only 3 days after that strange coin materialized in the summit chamber, the stars started dying. Not with a bang, not all at once, just a silent fade. A vital refueling station orbiting Mix missed its scheduled report. A sprawling surveillance array in the MN belt simply vanished from the grid. Even worse, the Talvarian archive, holding 12 millennia of stellar records, was erased, leaving behind only a fused entryway and a charred bootprint of unknown origin. Officially, commanders cited freak static storms. Diplomats urged calm. But behind closed doors, analysts whispered a chilling word. Boogeymen. They were myths, once, jokes. Humans frightened their children with tales of secret agents, phantoms in government suits, voices like velvet, weapons like relics. Now those shadows were solid, speaking forgotten Earth languages. No one had glimpsed the Baba Yaga, but a deeper dread was taking root. The galaxy now feared his legend might be true. At a crucial defense outpost along the Cache line, General Jaita of the Zelvin Accord stood, wings fluttering with unease, facing a grim tactical display. Bred for war, seasoned in the Mechari conflict, he'd survived lethal storms on Tenor Prime. But nothing prepared him for this. Explain, he commanded, his voice like shattering crystal. His subordinate visibly recoiled. The Theta 7 outpost, gone, sterilized, no forced entry, no energy signatures, no alarms. Jaita moved closer, demanding, How? A young tech hesitated, then stammered, "We found a message on a console." Jaita's gaze narrowed. Translation. The tech shakily held up a datapad, showing 2 stark words scrawled in permanent marker. "Too slow." Meanwhile, on the edge of council jurisdiction, 3 ambassadors boarded a heavily guarded, monitored diplomatic cruiser. They never reached their destination. 3 days later, fragments of the vessel were recovered, drifting lifelessly around a desolate, dead moon. The ship's engines were stone cold, interior lights barely a whisper, an eerie stillness, untouched by any sign of a fight, no spilled blood, no blaring alarms to shatter the silence. Just a table. Dinner was arranged for 3. 3 plates, 3 chairs, and atop each seat, 3 impeccable suits lay folded, accompanied by a cryptic note. They didn't bother knocking. Kane, deep beneath Greenland's frozen surface in a clandestine human bunker, stood before a fractured mirror. He meticulously straightened his tie as Agent June, behind him, silently attached a suppressor to a midnight black pistol, humming a wistful old melody. "Baba Yaga's haunted 5 more systems," she commented flippantly. "He left another tooth buried deep within a data core, still impenetrable." Kane caught her gaze in the mirror's reflection. "It's not an enigma," he stated grimly. "It's a declaration." "And what does it profess?" she inquired. Kane fastened his coat. "That he's grown weary," he said. She scoffed. "The poor galaxy." Above, the wind whispered over the buried world, a silent, haunting sigh. Ash, the phantom boogeyman, materialized in a bustling food market on Atarine. No records of arrival, no retinal scans, no scent detected. 1 frame, mothers browsing, children chattering. The next, everyone still, peaceful, asleep. Then, Ash stared directly into the camera, smiling. The footage self-destructed, corrupting every known backup. Repeated attempts yielded only static, until 1 day later, the camera captured new footage. Not of Ash, but of the viewer themselves. On board a colossal galactic supercarrier, Admiral Vun of the Tix Collective gazed upon a holographic map consumed by flames. Her fleet, which had been mapping human trade routes, had vanished. A lone distress beacon retrieved from the wreckage played back a chilling message. A human voice, calm, courteous. "We desire to be left undisturbed," it said. "Our patience is exhausted. Regret is absent. Only efficiency." Vun gripped the console's edge, the alloy protesting under her pressure. "Locate them," she demanded, her voice dripping venom. "I want identities." A junior officer paused nervously. "Ma'am, they don't offer identities. They offer warnings." In the summit chamber, the chairwoman, restless, addressed her council, her claws clicking anxiously. "We're being systematically undone." A murmur of confusion rippled through the delegates. Not attacked, but definitely scrutinized. Under intense observation rather than assaulted, I felt thoroughly examined. "Reduced to nothing," she breathed, her voice tight with suppressed feeling. "Utterly broken." "An act of vengeance, surely," the very ambassador growled, his voice heavy with despair. "We deserve this destruction." A low, ethereal voice cut through the room. "Vengeance suggests anger," the Zerlani oracle murmured, her gaze distant. This is devoid of feeling, something far more chilling." A sharp voice broke the silence. "Then what in the stars is it?" The oracle's gaze drifted to the vast, dark expanse beyond the chamber window. Equilibrium. On the barren mining planet of Threxel, heat sensors flickered, alerting the perimeter guards. A solitary figure, vaguely humanoid, trudged through the frozen desert, barefoot, heading directly for the security fence. Drones launched instantly. Half a minute later, they plummeted from the sky, lifeless. The figure strolled through the main gate unchallenged, entering the facility. No one remained to impede his progress. Only the faint chime of the deserted receptionist bell endlessly echoed in the lifeless facility. Security footage later showed his shadowed form pausing at a vending machine, casually inserting a coin, and then silently departing with a pack of chewing gum. Kane, shrouded in darkness, studied encrypted files. Each dossier detailed a target, a method of intrusion, and a brutal directive. Some were precise: obliterate a data repository, strip entire races of their ancestral memories of Earth. Others were more abstract: materialize in public view, then vanish, leaving behind only questions and fear. One, chillingly, read, "Make the children weep. They won't forget." Kane showed no emotion. He simply added a new designation to the top of the roster: Yaga. Below it, in his own hand, "Observe, but do not interfere. Await the signal." In Alaria, the magnificent capital of the esteemed Arthax Empire, the annual celebration of peace in the aftermath of cleansing was underway. The morning resounded with the triumphant blare of brass instruments, fluttering banners, and radiant drones painting the sky with vibrant light. By midday, the first casualties began to appear. As darkness enveloped the city, the streets lay abandoned. Parade floats gently swayed in the still air, rotating aimlessly. Across one, a message scrawled in oil and blood: "Politeness costs nothing." The true scope of the galaxy's decline was yet to be understood. 100 species were bound together in a desperate alliance. The two groups each held their unique strengths dear. One, the gift of prophetic vision. The other, mastery of advanced technology. They had calculated their enemy's science, their unity, their hive mind. But no one had foreseen vengeance cloaked in ceremony. Retribution served not with weapons, but with chilling grace. Earth hadn't cried out. It hadn't raged. It had simply breathed a warning. And then, it had retaliated. On the Council Moon, the emergency session convened, a grim shadow play. 23 seats stood vacant. The Balfu representative's chair still wept. Security sealed the room. The chairwoman stepped forward, her face etched with dread. "We must seek terms." A wave of disbelief surged through the delegates. "They are beyond reason," one cried. "They've already spoken, and we were deaf," whispered another. Then a new voice, ancient and sharp, pierced the sterile air. Unrecognized, yet undeniably human. Without malice, without haste, it echoed, "You filled our skies with ash. We filled yours with questions." Silence descended. The lights flickered, and someone began to laugh. Not with amusement, but with the chilling realization of childhood nightmares made real. "Is Baba Yaga watching?" someone breathed. In Earth's war room, Kane watched, taking a sip of coffee. "No," he murmured. "He's already here." The chamber had become smaller, not in space, but in presence. The galaxy's leaders no longer filled it with arrogance and self-importance. They huddled, their confidence shattered, replaced by shadows. The walls still shone. The fake stars still spun. But now, 17 systems were dark, 200 bases lost, 1,000 more silenced. The Federation hadn't fallen. It had been broken. The council chairwoman, haggard and weary, spoke, her voice thin. "The human diplomat will address us," she announced. "He comes alone." Silence answered her. Kane stepped into the chamber, unchanged, as if he had never left. He wore the same suit. His elbow remained creased with age. The cheap paper cup still warmed his hand, and he moved with a serene grace that seemed to defy gravity itself. Yet something profound had shifted within him. An unnerving silence permeated his core, a stillness too profound for mere composure. His lips remained sealed, devoid of even the faintest smile. He simply placed a plain, unadorned box on the floor. No grand design, no intricate locks, no visible hinges. The chairwoman paused, a ripple of unease in her posture. "We weave, seek peace," she offered tentatively. Kane's gaze descended upon the box. "Open it," he commanded. Her eyes darted nervously around the room. A palpable tension held everyone captive. Kane's gaze remained unwavering. "You extinguished 99 million of us without a second thought, and now you presume to inquire about our desires? The irony is staggering." Her gills fluttered, betraying her anxiety. "We underestimated the depth of your emotional connection." He tilted his head, a hint of bitterness in his eyes. "Is that what you've chosen to call it?" "We offer reparations," she pleaded. With a deliberate motion, he tapped the box, and it silently opened. Inside lay only ash, fine, gray, and utterly silent. A fragile whisper of pulverized bone. A palpable chill swept through the room. Kane's voice, now a low, resonant hum, filled the silence. This was a child. Her name was Eva. She was 8 years old. She dreamed of designing playgrounds on Mars. He allowed the weight of his words to settle. "She was also one of 99 million, so I brought you one." Some delegates averted their gaze, unable to meet his. The Oracle's second set of eyes flickered shut. Even the Arfac's orb, a beacon of light, seemed to dim. Kane knelt and retrieved something else from the box. A coin, identical to the first, yet this time he didn't flip it. Instead, he walked to the holographic galaxy map at the center of the room and placed the coin upon it. The galaxy rotated once, and the coin settled on a world utterly unfamiliar to them all. "What is that?" the chairwoman breathed, her voice barely audible. "System 87K, uninhabited. A former mining colony. We want it." Her eyes widened, incredulous. "You want a planet?" He turned slowly, his gaze piercing. "We want 50. Murmurs of outrage and disbelief rippled through the room. Kane's voice remained calm, yet held the force of a gathering storm. "You rendered 12 of our worlds sterile. You owe us sanctuary, not as supplicants, not under your dominion, but as owners." 50 systems is an impossibility, a very noble snapped, his voice laced with fury. "That is a breach of—" Kane raised a single finger, and every communication device in the room dissolved into a cacophony of static. The overhead lights pulsed, a nervous stutter. Kane's gaze lifted, as though deciphering a hidden language in the flicker. When his eyes settled back, his face was a carved mask of resolve. "The word impossible is banished," he declared, "especially from your lips." The chairwoman's forced cough sliced the tension. "These conditions are severe." Kane's curt nod was laced with steel. "Fitting, considering your actions." A heavy silence descended. He circled the table slowly, a predator sizing up its prey. "You crave peace, yet remorse is absent. Only fear remains." The coin clicked again, summoning a spectral projection. Distorted, time-stamped recordings flickered. Starships consumed by fire, worlds fading into darkness, impossibly skilled alien killers undone by a single human each time. Audio crackled with recovered data, dominated by a single, unwavering sound. A human heartbeat, a relentless drumbeat of defiance. The Oracle leaned forward, his voice hushed. "Are these the monsters you bring to our doorstep?" Kane remained silent, as another voice resonated through the room. A low growl of velvet dragged across stone. From the shadows of the far doorway, a figure emerged, tall, unshaven, cloaked in darkness, trailing the scent of ash. He moved with a quiet authority, not learned, but innate, a silence born with him. No introduction was necessary, no file required. Everyone knew. Baba Yaga, stripped of titles and rank, the legend made flesh. He carried no weapon, yet the soles of his boots were stained with blood. An ambassador gasped, another bolted to flee. The figure's eyes lifted, and the room froze. His words, a single sentence, ripped through the air. Treaty of Ashes. Kane's barely perceptible nod confirmed it. That's what we're calling it. And you will sign. The chairwoman's voice trembled. And if we refuse? Kane's gaze flickered to the man at his side. Baba Yaga offered a smile, the chilling smile of forgotten tombs. Kane turned back, his voice laced with menace. Then we discard all pretense of civility. A pregnant pause. Then, a flurry of hushed whispers, a rising tide of panic. Within 30 seconds, the majority had conceded. Not from belief, but from sheer, primal fear. The oracle raised a trembling hand. We will sign. Kane watched, his expression unreadable. Good. He produced a tablet, the screen glowing with crimson text. 50 systems, free of surveillance and taxation. Complete withdrawal from the Soul Sector. Unconditional recognition of Earth as a neutral, sovereign power. And within that singularity, a vast universe resided, waiting to ignite with unimaginable potential. The final clause echoed. No haunting memory of the monsters, no trace, no chase, no payback of any kind. The signing was stark, silent, yet heavy with implication. Galactic law itself reshaped to accommodate the accord, the entire cosmos bowing to humanity's measured strength. Thus humans had seized their true desires, not vengeance or fleeting glory, but breathable space, profound silence, and a chilling respect born of apprehension. The assembly hall emptied, diplomats scrambling to soothe frayed nerves and salvage wounded egos. Only Kane remained. He paused before the chairwoman, a final moment. A truth you should carry, he began. She refused to meet his gaze until he forced her to. This wasn't about settling scores, he whispered, his voice a low hum. Then what could it be? He approached closer. Simply a reminder of the dire consequences that arise from disturbing the slumbering giant. Baba Yaga, a shadow, turned to depart, his coat a sweeping curtain. Kane followed, pausing to toss something back into the vast chamber. The coin, spinning, struck the floor with a sharp ring. This time, chance had no sway. It displayed a clear image, a child's smiling face forever seared onto the metal. And beneath the image, a silent dare. You woke us. We simply returned the greeting.